welcome to Stretford, Paddock, and Merry Christmas to everyone at home. This is the preview of Manchester United against Leicester City on Boxing Day. Where's it at?
Old Trafford.
Old Trafford, of course. Man United have got Leicester J. We're going to be going through the preview. Merry Christmas to everyone at home. Merry holidays. Happy holidays to anyone who doesn't celebrate Christmas, of course. Christmas Day, Jay. You've just opened your presents. Now, what are you hoping for under the tree? It's 3 points, isn't it? And the 3-point preview today, we're going to be looking at Manchester United. We're going to be looking at Leicester. We're going to be giving our predictions. We're going to be giving our team news. We're going to be looking at... Okay, that's a lot more points than that, but...
You're going so
first
well
of all,
there.
Jay...
I know you were going well until the 3-point preview.
First of all, Jay...
None of
this bar humbug nonsense. Stop trying to derail me.
Okay.
It's Merry Bloody Christmas, and we're all here for it. Tell me, Jay.
Yes.
Give me your initial thoughts on this game. Man United face Leicester. Second face third. We've already got a game in hand on them, but they are ahead of us in the league.
Yeah.
We've got 26 points. They've got 27 points. This is a huge game for Manchester United. Give me your thoughts.
It is a massive game. Obviously, like, as you mentioned, Leicester are playing really well, as it shows in the table. But I fancy our chances against Leicester. I know we'll get into predictions later on. I think the form we've shown, and if we just break it down, right, to player for player, we are a better team than Leicester. There was a time, I think it was last season, where they came to Old Trafford, and I remember this was the sort of pre-Bruno Fernandes dark days, and I looked at the Leicester team, and I looked at Vardy, Maddison, and Ndidi, Tielemans, and I thought, Chilwell, I think, was there as well, and I thought, do you know what? There's probably about
Maguire.
5 or 6 players. No, this Maguire was playing for us. There's probably about 5 or 6 players that would get from Leicester's team that would get in United's team. It's actually touch and go who's got the better team here. I mean, we won 1-0 in the end, but going into this one, I feel a lot more confident. I don't think there's many players that I'd want from Leicester's team. They've got a good team. I don't think it's a great one, and I think that United should go into this feeling confident. We're in a good bit of momentum. We've got some good results. We've had some good results, especially at home. We've sort of, don't want to use the term turn the corner because I've been using that since the days of David Moyes, but our home form has improved. Coupled with our fantastic away form, there's reasons to be cheerful.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, back to your point there. There was a time when I could have probably picked 7 or 8.
Yeah,
and now for me, it's only Pereira at right back, who's injured quite a lot, and Ndidi, and maybe Vardy.
And Ndidi as well has been struggling for fitness as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he's played a lot of last season and this season. He's had a lot of time off. Maddison as well, I think there was a lot of talk of him come to United.
Yeah.
But there's no need for him now. I think we've kind of gone past that with Bruno and Donny in there. I don't think there's any thought we'd have Maddison in there. But you're right. When they came to Old Trafford last season, everyone was going, they are a better team. They've got a better squad. There was also calls
arguably a better manager.
That's what, arguably a better manager in Brendan Rodgers as well. So everyone was kind of going, this should be a victory for them. It was the worst, one of the worst games of football we had last season. Yeah, Marcus got the penalty, I think.
I think so. Yeah,
And
it was.
a
I remember it was one. I remember
1-0.
we had didn't we have Pereira and Fred or something on Maddison? We were just double marking him or something at one point. It was just ridiculous. But we got the 3 points.
Yeah, we got the 3 points, and yeah, you're right. Leicester have done okay so far this season. You've seen with their little run of form they've been on, which has been pretty good. But again, United are the form team in the Premier League and probably in England at this moment in time in all the cups as well. So don't want to be too confident, but I think
You're a little
United,
bit confident.
a little bit confident.
I don't know if this will add confidence or take away confidence, because for me, these sorts of stats scare me more than they encourage me. United, I was just checking before, have lost only 1 of their last 24 against Leicester, and that one was the 5-3 under Louis van Gaal in 2014. 1 of the last 24. That's almost worrying. You think
Mad,
this can't continue? Because they've been, for 4 or 5 years of that, an either very good or good side. And to have only lost that one game, for me, does worry me a bit. But, really, we're better than them, aren't we?
Yeah, we are better than them. And you got to remember that. I know it's different because we're not under Sir Alex Ferguson anymore, but there was lots of teams where, especially at Old Trafford, they didn't win for 30, 40 years.
True.
Do you know what I mean? We had this amazing record.
It was all in the Moyes season.
Yeah,
when all
Moyes
them
just got rid of all
signed
them, didn't he?
quick.
Everton, Newcastle, Swansea, or whatever. West Brom.
It's like Moyes was. There's a big tower of of records that Ferguson had slowly put together.
Over almost 3 decades.
I'm going to say, what's that one at the bottom? Bad start to the season. Pull, and they all just came
all
flowing
gone.
down.
Every year, every week,
worst worst away. First time we've lost at home in this
mate.
competition. It was shit. Let me put that back together. No, Moyes, you're gone.
It was horrible. But that game you go back to, the one we did lose, it was quite seminal, wasn't it? Because they just about stayed up that season. I think they went on that run towards the end of the season, didn't they?
Yep.
Louis van Gaal, decided that he didn't want to score goals anymore, tried to score goals, so let's just go defensive and try to just, get a 0-0 in every game. Well, that seems to be the tactic. So it obviously made a big difference. But going into this one, sort of things have changed massively.
Things have changed massively.
Both teams must be pretty happy. Brendan Rodgers doing a good job at Leicester, and they've obviously, finished probably disappointed the way they finished last season, because at one point it looked like they were nailed on for third. But again, this season's been a good start. And at Manchester United, as we mentioned, the sort of, Champions League aside, things have been pretty good.
Yeah, and Jay mentions there about how Leicester should have really finished third or fourth last season. They were basically doing what they did this season, but then they ended up, toward the end of the season, they dropped off, they dropped down. Do you think that will be a worry for Leicester in this game, this whole thing of like, we sort of had this position last year and we dropped it? Are you expecting to see a more resilient Leicester, a more sort of defensive team? And also, as a second part to the question, we've just saw United beat Everton in the Carabao Cup. Excuse me. The first time we've won an away game this season without going behind first. Yep. Obviously, this game's at home, but the United's form this season has been very start slow, end well. We've seen against Leeds, we've seen now against Everton a stronger start. How do you expect the two teams to look? Because it's a huge game for both teams, isn't it?
It is. I think the one thing with Leicester is this season, I think they have got a bit better of a squad. I think they signed some good... They didn't make any big signings in the summer, but they did sign some good backup players. So I think the one thing with Leicester last year was that they had a very good 11, but after that, as soon as you dropped a few players out of it, they really struggled. And towards the end of last season, Maddison was injured, and Didi was struggling, and I think a few of the back four was out.
Pereira, I think, was out for a while.
And it absolutely decimated them towards the end of the season, and that was where they went on that horrible run of form. Whereas this season, they're all back fit again, and also they've strengthened. I think is it James Justin they've signed at full-back. Castagna they've got in there. They've got a few options now where they're not as reliant on 2 or 3 players. So I don't think they're as worried with that. But at the same time, it is a massive team for both clubs. It's probably bigger for United, because I think that for as much as Leicester want to do well in the league, if they don't win the league, no one's going to put any pressure on them. There's no one going to say, Brendan Rodgers, you need to go, this is what you're brought in to do.
Their expectation is between 7th and 4th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas United's is between 4th and 1st.
And if they can get in the Champions League and start to maintain that, fantastic. It's a great run. They've done really well. But United are, if we win this, like we said in the office, if we win this game and go second with a game in hand around us, we're in full giddy mode. We're in full on. Yeah. This is now. We've said it the last few weeks, and I think there has been a little bit of joking now and again where we've kind of said we're in a title race. But if we beat Leicester, go into second place with that game in hand, we are in a title race then. There is no argument. There's no if, buts and maybes. If we beat Leicester at the weekend, we're in a title race. And I think that will be going in the players' minds. And I think that maybe we may see a bit of a slower start. We may see a bit more cagey United where they kind of go, do you know what? For as much as we want that, I think a point in this game keeps us in that position, keeps us in that top 4, keeps us in and around things, and I don't think they'd be too worried. So I think they may, we'll go through the teams in a bit, but I think that they may go more towards the sitting back and absorbing a bit of pressure, which Leicester aren't the best at breaking down, and going from there.
Yeah, in the words of that fella off of Pirates at Caribbean, you better start believing in title races. You're in one. That's going to be fucking Ole talking to the squad after this, innit? I'm so excited. So I just choked on my own phlegm there.
That was really good.
Casey's behind the curtain there shaking his head.
This is very late at
and
night
I would say, honestly, pure shock, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Jay, I want to talk to you about United's front line.
Yes.
Because we've seen this season, other than Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, no one is getting going, really. We've seen Martial in recent weeks, recent games, couple assists here, goal there, another assist and a goal against Everton. But still, for the season, I think it's 4 goals he's on.
Yeah.
Cavani, a similar number. Greenwood, a similar number. Talk to me about what you think United's forward line will be against Leicester. But also, are you concerned about this forward line? Do you think, if anything, that our lack of converted chances has been probably our biggest weakness this season?
I'm not too worried. I mean, you are right about the fact that our strikers haven't been sort of firing on all cylinders, but there's sort of different reasons for it, and you look at it and you think, okay, in the case of Anthony Martial, who is probably the standout one who's not hit the heights he hit last season, because as you mentioned, he's got 4 goals and he's played, I know he had his ban, but he's played a lot of football.
And just 1 in the Premier League.
Yeah, and 1 in the Premier League, which isn't good enough. Listen, I love Anthony Martial, I'm a Martial fan, but there's no sugarcoating that. 1 goal in 10 games, whatever he's played, he's just, for a player of his quality, he just isn't good enough. But I think he'll come out of that. I think we're seeing signs already that he's going to come out of it. So I'm not too worried. I just like to see him come out of it sooner rather than later. Cavani, obviously, new signing, been used sporadically. Mason Greenwood had some issues. He's not had the best time of it off the pitch with the whole sort of dramas that went on with England that I think Gareth Southgate just exacerbated, if I'm being brutally honest. He's not quite hit the form that he had towards the end of last season. And Marcus, he said, and the funny thing is with Marcus, he's been scoring goals. I actually don't think he's been at his best. I think he's got another level to go. I don't think this is as good as Marcus Rashford can play, but he's been getting goals, and I think that's what I love about Marcus, amongst many other things, is the fact that even when he's not playing that well, he'll get a goal or an assist. He never lets his head drop. So I think all the strikers have got, or the attackers have got, another level to reach, and I just like to see it start sooner rather than later. And for this game, I know we'll get into the starting 11 in a minute, but my preferred front three would be Marcus, Mason and Anthony Martial. And I think the fact that 2 of those were on the bench for the Everton League Cup game, and Mason, I think, came off as well. So there might be enough rest in him to start all 3, because I think if we are going to start getting the best out of these guys, especially the likes of Anthony Martial and Mason Greenwood, then we need to start playing him more regularly in the front 3. That seems to suit them, because yes, Cavani is an out-and-out striker, and you need him, and you can use him, and he does things that the others can't. But for me, our strongest front 3 is the 3 I've mentioned.
And one of the great things about Cavani, and it's the same with Dan James, it's the same with McTominay and Matic and Van der Beek, is one of the great qualities they have is they allow other players to be rested, which people seem to think squad players have to be as good as the starting 11, when really one of their biggest roles is allowing that starting 11 to have a rest and still winning games, which we saw against Everton, which we saw against Leeds. Moving on from the strikers then, let's talk about our starting 11s. I'm going to go with you first, Alex. Tell me about who you think is going to start against Leicester.
So my starting 11, I've gone with David De Gea in goal. I've then gone back for Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire. I expect Lindelof to come back in after not playing this week. And then Alex Telles, I think he looked good against Everton. I still think he's not quite hit the heights we've been hoping for. But I like to see him back in the team. I think he does bring... I think going forward, I still think he's levels above Luke Shaw. I still think he's the preferred left back. I've gone for Fred and McTominay in midfield. I think that we're not quite sure on McTominay in terms of fitness-wise. No, nothing's really been said yet whether he's going to be back from his little... I think it was groin strain he came off. But I'd like to... I think those... In any game against a biggish team, I think that's his preferred midfield. Bruno in the 10. And then like Jay's just said, I still think our best front 3, especially in teams that are maybe a little bit better, maybe ones that we're going to hit maybe more on the counter-attack. I think our best front 3 is Marcus Rashford, Martial and Mason Greenwood. And I think Martial, in the Leeds game, I think he had a very good game against Leeds without scoring a goal, which kind of pleased me a bit. I think there's been a lot of criticism of Martial not scoring goals, but I think the other thing was I think he was starting to... His performances were dropping. He wasn't linking up play. He wasn't creating chances for others. Where in the Leeds game, I think he got a couple of assists in that game. He looked very good.
And he won the penalty as well.
And he won the penalty. He looked very good without scoring the goal. He's come on. He got the goal against Everton. I'm hoping now that that's the 2 things off his back now. He's scoring goals and he's performing. I'm hoping he gets back to full form.
Very nice. Very strong team there, isn't it? That you've predicted there. Jay, then, let's move on to your team. I'll go last. Save the best to last. I'm not saying that. The people at home are saying that. But you go next, Jay, with whatever shit you've put together. Merry Christmas.
I just, put a lot of balls in a hat and just picked out whatever. Yeah. So no, I've gone with exactly the same team as Alex, except I've gone with Luke Shaw at left back rather than Alex Telles. I don't really see Alex Telles starting 2 games in the space of 3 or 4 days, whatever it is. And the fact that he actually came off for Luke Shaw, for me, indicates that especially Ollie will go back to his strongest left back, which in his eyes is still Luke Shaw. Agree with everything that Baggers has said. It's in terms of, like we've spoken about, Anthony Martial, I don't need to go into it too much. But one thing I will say is he's almost like the opposite of Marcus in the sense that Marcus can have a bad game and get you a goal. Martial tends to have a good game and not get you a goal. Yeah. It's like it's the other way around almost. So I feel sometimes he does get a little bit overly criticised. But as I said, a player of his quality should be putting the chances away that he's getting, and hopefully he's started to do that. But Tominay, there is a doubt with his groin strain, but I mean, it's pot looking. I don't know for a fact. It's not ITK by any stretch, but hopefully he'll be back because you want to build on that amazing performance against Leeds. And it's weird, isn't it? I don't know. With like you say, with Victor Lindelof now, I think people have just sort of. They might not be enamoured of him, but I think people have sort of accepted the fact he's the preferred partner to Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire's not going anywhere. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I would.
Do you know what I mean? It's like people are more accepting of it now. Whereas a few months ago, we were hearing Eric Bailly's got to start, Axel Tuanzebe's got to start. You know, you were always pointing out it was always the one that wasn't playing that everyone wanted to see start. Bailly came in and had his worst game in a red shirt against Spurs. Tuanzebe had his worst game in a red shirt against Istanbul. And then everyone goes, well, hang on a minute, maybe Lindelof is actually the guy that should be starting.
I think with Lindelof, what's happened is, and like you said, it's the acceptance that the angle used to be play this guy, play this guy, play this guy. Whereas now it's, we know Lindelof is our best partner to Maguire, but we still think we could buy better.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, no, buy's better. No, well, actually, I reckon, Phil Jones. Like people wanted anyone but Lindelof, but he's putting some good performances, and I think we see him more for the player he is. And again, talking about how squad players, one of their biggest roles is to give players rest. The great thing about Maguire and Lindelof is they're never injured.
No.
And they've had a few days off here and there, but by and large, they're both fit for every single game, and that's something we just haven't had from our centre-backs. Even under Fergie, toward the end, everyone used to get injured all the time. Carrick and everyone.
It cost us that as well, didn't it?
Yeah, so the fact that he's available all the time, I think, is great. Before we move on to my team, then, let's get into the 12 days of Paddock. Starting tomorrow on Boxing Day, we are going to be giving away our first of our 12 gifts on the 12 days of Paddock giveaway. It's a members-only giveaway, and every single day for 12 days we're going to be giving away the likes of T-shirts, the likes of FIFA, the likes of Football Manager, the likes of signed Andy Cole booklets. It's not booklets, it's a full book. It's a book.
It's a full-on book.
And culminating on the 6th of January in a PlayStation 5, Sony PlayStation 5. You know it, you love it. All you have to do to be eligible to win, it's a lucky dip draw from any one of our members. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning all of those prizes, click the join button in the description. And there's also a little join button underneath this video. So make sure you click that, follow through to that. You can, don't follow through, but follow through to the different membership tiers. Click on one of them, and you'll automatically be entered. And you also get members-only videos, you get discounts in the store, you get extra wallpapers, you get behind-the-scenes videos, you get all sorts of great stuff for being
Secret
a member.
Santa out today.
Secret Santa video out today. Santa so if you join today, you get to see all us buying shit for each other.
It's ridiculous.
Some of it's great.
It's ridiculous.
Shit's being the operative word in some cases.
How dare you? Right, let's move on to my team then for the Leicester game tomorrow. I've got De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, McTominay, Fred, Dan James in there, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, and Martial. Now, I think we can all agree on that back five, except you, because you don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm joking. I'm just being aggressive because it's Christmas.
You are quite threatening today, Joe. Yeah. I'm scared.
I'm the ghost of
Sir
Alex Ferguson's past, and I've come here to tell you that we're going to win tomorrow.
Right, okay, I'll settle for that then.
Thank you. Right, so the reason I've gone with Luke Shaw, same with you, Jay, I don't think Tellers will play twice in a week. I also think Luke Shaw's probably had his best run of form in about 2 years in the last sort of 6 weeks since we signed Tellers. I think he's actually kicked him on a bit. I think when he's played, he's looked good. He's actually trying to cross the ball, which he was pretending he'd forgotten about. But actually, he just got lazy and bored. But now Tellers is there. He's like, I'll try crossing then so you don't take my job.
Lazy and bored. Wow, that's what they're the things you want in a fullback.
It is lazy and bored, but he's not lazy and bored anymore. He's slightly rejuvenated. Also, Fred and McTominay, we can all agree, that's Ollie's big game go-to midfield.
None of us have got Pogba. I think he had a very good game against Everton.
He was very good against Everton. I thought he was good against Leeds.
Yeah.
What he played, but I thought McTominay and Fred
against Leeds when he didn't play against Leeds.
He did play against Leeds, didn't he? Did he not come on?
Not in the slightest, no.
I'll be honest. Still think he had a great game, and you're not really going to change my mind on that. What was the game before Leeds that he played that he was good in? He was good against City.
He
One
was
of the few players that
City. And he came when he came on against Leipzig. He was probably our best player.
West Ham.
And West Ham, he got a very good goal.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Sorry, I'm thinking of the West Ham game, not the Leeds game. But anyway, I don't think he's going to play. We've seen it against Everton. We saw it against Leipzig. We saw it against PSG. We saw it against City. Ole wants Fred and McTominay as his little pivot in those big games, those must-win games. That's who he goes for, and I think he will again. Dan James, my only change from both of your front four, I think he was the best he's been in about a year against Leeds. And I don't think he will be quite as effective as that against Leicester, but Mason Greenwood's been a bit in and out of form, and the fact that he did play against Everton almost makes me think he won't play twice in a week, Mason, because he's not really been a twice-a-week player so far this season. So I think we may see Dan James on that right-hand side, offering that pace on the counter-attack. I'm not certain on Dan James, but I just think if you're ever going to play him twice in 2 games or twice in 2 league games, this is it, because he was very good against Leeds. He contributed well. He got his goal.
Yep, I agree.
And I'm going to go with him.
I agree.
It makes sense, that, to be fair. The only reason I was slightly thinking that Mason might get another, I don't know if Ollie wants to get a bit of momentum going with him, but it wouldn't surprise me. Certainly from his performance on Leeds, he deserves to be in with the shout, because he was very good against Leeds. Like you say, it probably was his best performance since when he first arrived, those couple of games where he was outstanding. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me that. I think logic dictates yours is probably the most likely, but I'm not changing my mind.
Quickly then, a couple of things before we wrap it up, before we get into our predicted score lines. Who is your key man for Leicester? Who's your one to look out for Leicester?
I mean, it's always Jamie Vardy. I mean, he's not really fired against us in the last few times we've played him. We've kind of... Maguire and Lindelof dealt with him well in both of the games we played against him last year. So, but he's always a danger man. And there's one thing that every good team in the Premier League always has, is someone that can score goals for them and can get goals. In these big games, you need someone that can take a chance, because it's going to be a cagey game. It may be, if it is that, you need someone like Jamie Vardy to score a goal. And he scored a couple of... He broke the record of Van Nistelrooy's against us.
Record against us.
And he scored that happened like that. It just seems too perfect.
Yeah, and then he scored in the 5-3, I think, the last time that was kind of him kickstart. That was almost, this is Jamie Vardy
that
scoring.
Penalty, didn't he, against Raphael? It was ridiculous. But yeah, Jamie Vardy, he's still a top player. I'd take him at United tomorrow, kind of thing. I think with hindsight, if someone in 2017 or whatever, or 2018 said, buy Jamie Vardy, you think, he's 30, whatever. Nah, he's had that purple patch, forget it. But he's carried on scoring, hasn't he, like every season.
Well, there's the rumours he was going to Arsenal, wasn't there?
They made a bid for him, and I think he rejected it.
I think he rejected it. I think he didn't want to go.
But yeah, Jamie Vardy's their key man, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You can beat around the bush. I would say one thing to look out for, obviously James Maddison, who United were linked with.
Yeah.
He looked very good against Tottenham. Had the goal disallowed. I think it was against Tottenham for offside, wasn't it? But he was. That's one of the first times I've watched Leicester and gone, he's standing out here, James Maddison, because often he kind of, for me, when I've watched him, I've sort of gone, how is he meant to be as good as Jack
It's kind
Grealish?
of the game, we've all picked McTominay and Fred. They're kind of the game where you need one of them to just go, he's my job today. I'll just pick up Maddison, because he's going to drop in between the lines. He's going to do everything for them. If someone marks him out of the game, like we've done, I mean, people go, we shouldn't be doing that against Leicester. But at the same time, United have done that for years with Fergie, where Ji-Sung Park, even under Herrera and Jose, have just marked people out of the game, and it makes things a lot easier. And I think that you've got players in Fred and McTominay who can do that role and maybe mark out someone like James Maddison out of the game.
Yeah, and Jamie Vardy, quickly before we move on, I would say alongside Andy Cole, probably the most underrated Premier League striker ever. I think every single season, people have gone, he's not that good, he's just on Red Bull. Like you said, 2017, he's 30, he had his purple patch, he's done now.
Yeah.
He's got, I think, 115 goals in 220 games in the league. To be getting a goal every other game for 200 odd games, I think we obviously need to be very careful with him, as we've seen before against Leicester.
No, I think you're right, and let's not try and overcomplicate it. Jamie Vardy's the main man.
Exactly. Right, that's going to be all from us today. Happy Christmas again.
Except our predictions, of course, for the score.
Except for our predictions.
But before we go, we're going to be going through our
score
predictions. Jay?
I'll go with an emphatic 1-0 to United.
Emphatic 1-0 to United. Alex?
2-1.
2-1 United. I'm going to go... I think we look good against Everton defensively, maybe our best performance of the season so far, alongside the away game against PSG. Hopefully we can do that against Leicester. 2-0. Another 2-0 win. It's a huge game for Manchester United. And again, in the great words of that fella off Pirates at Caribbean, if United win against Leicester, you better stop believing in title races, Alex. You're in one. Thank you very much to everyone at home for watching. Again, check out the 12 Days of Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everyone at home. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow for the watch along, all the build up, all the usual reaction to Manchester United against Leicester. And we'll see you in a bit.